Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Who Dat Jedi podcast. This is episode 246 for your record books. My name's Aaron. With me, as always, the other members of the Who Dat Jedi Council, Fredo and Dave. Hi, guys.
Hello there.
Hi there.
Hi.
For those of you who didn't see me, I was waving because this is an audio format.
I like that you deliberately tried to avoid hello there.
Hello there.
So I saw each of you individually this weekend, live and in person. So Dave, you and Kate were nice enough to come out to my gig on Saturday, listen to some Irish music. And Fredo, we went to the Renaissance Fair with my wife and our friend Lizzie. So, yeah. So we just never do anything, the three of us all at the same time. So we need to remedy that.
Well, it's kind of hard, particularly when it's like something going on, even just going up to the North Shore. That could be an adventure when we're talking multiple vehicles. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of, well, no, I mean, sometimes we end up in the same place. We just don't know if we're all there because we're trying to do a bunch of different things all at once. Kind of works out that way. But no, Ren Fair was fun, except for the fact they kept running out of food, even though it's only the second day. That was weird.
So, actually, let's see here. I had a gig Thursday and I had the gig Saturday. Dave, did you you came on Saturday. Yeah, it was after I spilled the entire glass of Guinness, right? Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So you missed that part. I don't know how that happened, but that fits in our topic tonight, because our topic tonight is going to be saddest moments in Star Wars. And that was one of the saddest moments just of anything, when you knock over an entire pint of Guinness. And so I had to stop my gig to, clean it up and everything. But I was just like, oh. So, man down. But anyway, yeah, thank you for coming to the gig. And Fredo, thanks for nerding out with me on Saturday, or Sunday, I guess. So, yeah. It was funny because Ren Fair was the theme was Halloween. So, I mean, everybody's dressed in various things, but then we saw Boba Fett walk by.
Boba Fett.
With the tiniest jetpack. It was kind of weird. So, but hey, what are you going to do?
Well, that was the interesting aspect. So you're like, is that Boba Fett in a medieval planet? And if so, okay. Or is this Boba Fett impersonating somebody in the Ren Fair? Never can tell. It's very much do what you want.
But every time, all I think of is there was no silverware in medieval times, therefore there is no silverware at medieval times. Oh, but you have Diet Pepsi.
Right.
So, anyway, that might be one of those guilty pleasure movies, or I don't know. That was actually a really pretty good movie. Kind of dark.
Pretty funny. It's dark, but it's funny.
So
yeah, it's one of those movies where it's weird because it comes at a point, it's the height of Jim Carrey is the funniest human being in Hollywood, and he's getting recognized as such. And then that is a dark comedy. That is a movie you laugh in spite of what it's trying to tell you because of all the craziness that's going on and the characters. But I will say though, you start looking back at some of his movies, and that's one of those you can revisit and still holds up.
So anyway, like I said, tonight, saddest moments in Star Wars. We all have our top three. We'll see how much we agree on. It was funny because I told my wife what the topic was, and I said, I've got these. What do you think? And she was like, oh, and this, and this, and this, and this, and then we found a theme behind those. So we'll get to that. So, but first, let's do some trivia to get ourselves rolling here. All right, Fredo, you first. Who does Qui-Gon admonish, quote, whenever you gamble, my friend, eventually you'll lose? Who does Qui-Gon admonish, quote, "Whenever you gamble, my friend, eventually you'll lose"?
The one who is not interested in credits, only money. Watto.
It is Watto. Can you answer in your most offensive accent for...
I cannot. I cannot. Weirdly and surprisingly enough.
All right, Dave, to you. Who fires a cable that ensnares Luke, pinning his arms to his sides? Who fires a cable that ensnares Luke, pinning his arms to his sides?
The one and only Boba Fett.
Boba Fett. Boba Fett. Where?
That would be Bob A. Fett. Yes. All right. And to me. Oh, come on. What color eyes does Jabba the Hutt peer through? What color eyes does Jabba the Hutt peer through? It's either yellow or orange. I'm just going to go with yellow. It's orange. Son of a gun. Oh, well.
Got the tough one again for the second straight week, I think.
Yeah, it happens. When you gamble, sometimes you lose. All right. Well, we got some news, Fredo. What's going on?
Yeah, a couple of bits of news. We'll go with what's news, and then we'll throw in a rumor in. So, from Variety, we'll just make mention. I mean, we all love John Williams. So it's been confirmed that John Williams will, in fact, be scoring the next film from Steven Spielberg. This will be their 30th cinematic collaboration between the two of them. Now, the movie, nothing's known about the movie except for the fact that it's supposed to be centered around UFOs, which everybody remembers. The second movie that he worked with Spielberg was Close Encounters of the Third Kind, also a UFO movie. They've worked on everything from Raiders of the Lost Ark, Jaws, Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, you name it. Everything from the most serious to the silliest.
It's everything that Steven Spielberg has done. John Williams has scored all of his movies.
Did he score? Yeah, I guess he did score Duel, which was Spielberg's debut, right? I remember the documentary mentioned that. So yeah, apparently, yeah. Actually, no, I stand corrected. Their first collaboration was Sugarland Express in 1974. And, obviously everybody remembers 3 years ago after doing Dial of Destiny, he had suggested that he was going to retire. But then he has actually come out and said, no, he's never officially said he says, I don't care much for grand statements that are firm and finished and surrounded by closed doors. If I made one without putting it in context, I withdraw it. This was back in late 2023. And he's backtracked saying he would allow the opportunity. And for right now, yeah, Spielberg's making a film, no title, no logline, reportedly about UFO adventure, coming out next June. New original movie with Emily Blunt, Colin Firth, Josh O'Connor. So, big, the normal big stars that want to work with Spielberg. So, we're getting some more John Williams music.
There's great dead air right here. Okay, so we can probably move on to the next one. I had nothing to say. He's recording.
Yeah, okay, so let's move from the bit of news that's news, and let's move to the bit of news that's rumor. And for this one, you'll have to go to the site formerly known as Twitter, where a industry insider by the name of My Time to Shine Hello, which is apparently hidden behind a paywall, is claiming that the once announced Rogue Squadron is getting redeveloped as a Disney Plus show instead of a movie. If you remember, first announced, Patty Jenkins directing a Rogue Squadron movie. This is what they say. There's simply this, quote, Rogue Squadron is not being developed as a TV series. Now, this is a rumor, and I'm starting that by throwing the giant hunk of salt onto the table. But as they point out, a month ago, if somebody had come a month ago telling you, hey, there was a Ben Solo movie being made by Steven Soderbergh, would you have believed it? So I'm not willing to say maybe yes, maybe no. I mean, it would make sense. They have to have some sort of Star Wars on Disney Plus beyond Ahsoka Season 2.
I don't know. The thing that makes me go, is how we've got Starfighter coming out. It seems to me like the streams are crossed here. Like, hey, they're working on I don't know. It would seem awkward to me to release Starfighter and then have also a Disney Plus show that was Rogue Squadron, and I don't see them doing something quite that similar. And it sounds like a lot of the Rogue Squadron stuff maybe got assimilated into other projects. I'm not sure, but this one just seems like streams are crossed. I don't know.
Well, let me put it this way before Dave answers. What if they would have Rogue Squadron branch off from Starfighter? And then again,
Um, I think where the idea of confusion becoming a problem enters into the picture, it would be if there were two different movies instead of a movie and a TV series. So, like, if this rumor were true, it would make sense to me on that level, because it wouldn't make a lot of sense to me to, like, put two starfighting movies in theaters within a couple of years of one another, and the characters are all different. It's a different time period. It's different everything. I remember when Rogue One came out, and it was a problem for people. They were like, "What? What's going on?" And that was a really drastic, obvious shift, and people still got confused. So I think there could be justification for that basis alone. I also look at this as being more fuel for the fire that the that the Ben Solo movie might have a little bit of gas.
Afterlife.
It's like, well, we got these other movies in line. This movie is getting shelved repeatedly, and if the Ben Solo movie comes along now, then this would presumably go back to the back of the line behind that. And maybe some folks who are involved with it just really want to get these stories told, and they think, well, what if we shifted it over to TV? So that could be going on too. I don't know. These are just some random thoughts.
You know what? I've been thinking about the Ben Solo stuff because every podcast is talking about it, and it's Lucasfilm either needs to they need to get out in front of something here, because everybody's focused on what they're not getting and not what is coming down the pike. You've got Mandalorian and Grogu that's coming. Nobody's talking about it right now. You've got Starfighter coming after that. Nobody's talking about that. It's like everybody's talking about the thing that was released, and so it's like they either need to say, yeah, we're making it and it's coming at such and such, or they're going to have to say, I'm sorry, we know that you like this, but the boss killed it and it's not coming. So too bad. It's not happening, because right now it is just, we're even talking about it, where it's just that there's a slightest of possibility that this thing that nobody knew was coming, and now everybody, it's like the top toy at Christmas that they want, that they didn't know they wanted, and it's going to end up like, I think it could cause problems with Mandalorian and Grogu, because people are just like, I think that's already an uphill climb a little bit, because everybody's just used to it being on Disney Plus, and they're out of the habit of being in a movie theater. Lucasfilm needs to lean in and say, hey guys, you've got something coming out in a theater, and quit worrying about the other stuff. And I'm not be this blunt, but let's give us Mandalorian and Grogu stuff so people can start talking about what's actually coming. Get off my lawn.
And like I said, this is the difficulty, because for the last few years we've had, hey, you got the Acolyte coming down and Skeleton Crew and the next season of Mandalorian and Ahsoka, and now we are entering the period where, due to plot anchors, preference, everything's shifting towards the silver screen, which means you got to give it more time in order for it to develop. You don't just make movies, turning around like crazy. Even Starfighter, which just started filming this year, it's not coming out till 2027. So you have to have multiple projects in work in order to feed the beast, so to speak. But the hard part with that is you still create gaps in or fallow periods. Now, us three grew up in the time when you waited 3 years for a movie because that's how long it took to make the movie. Star New Hope comes out in 77, Empire comes out in 80, Jedi comes out in 83, and then you go, kids. That's what you got. And then the same thing with the prequel trilogy, 99, 02, 05, 3 year period. That's all it took George Lucas to make these movies. So the idea that you could expect new Star Wars every year or every 6 to 8 months, that's unrealistic, but that's also the way things are done now, the expectations of the audience. So I wonder, I mean, how they are going to fill that big old hole in the Disney Plus
But
lineup whenever Ahsoka gets done.
but to my thesis though is that they've got something coming out in the theaters in May.
Hmm.
They don't,
So,
and we're not, and nobody, including the company, is talking about the thing that's coming in May. What's dominating the stories, and I'm sorry to keep beating this dead horse,
hmm,
but what's dominating everybody's stories is this Ben Solo project, and
right.
I'm just, I just want to sit like next to somebody at Lucasfilm and like, snap a rubber band on their wrist when they do something like this. It just drives me
But,
crazy.
but to your point, and I'm gonna bring David to this, the next big Disney release is Zootopia 2, coming out Thanksgiving weekend. Normally you would expect Mandalorian and Grogu will have a trailer in front of that sucker because everybody's going to go out to it. All the family's going to go out. This is where you start ramping up your merchandising push. You start here, then you go to the Super Bowl, and then you just start building up the excitement towards May. But right now, I don't know that there's even a mention of that happening, which is kind of surprising. Well, I mean, we got one trailer. I know we've seen some stuff, but you would expect that they will be ready to put stuff out with the next big Disney product that's coming down this month. That's gonna have every family during the holiday season going to go see.
I guess I just don't know what kind of marketing they have in their back pocket at this point for that movie. The first teaser was sort of, it's nice. We all really like the poster and the graphical elements. Like those are the things where we were like, oh, that's really cool. It harkens back to Flash Gordon, etc. And the trailer itself was just kind of like, yeah, it's a Mandalorian, and yeah, it's Grogu, and yeah, cool, but um, I didn't get like over the moon bouncing off the walls like I did with like the Last Jedi trailer, for example.
Hmm.
I think the psychology of the fan base sort of it trends towards the serial, the numbered movies, and just it's not tunnel vision, but like they mean more.
They've been trained. They've been
It's the
trained.
SEC. It's the SEC of the Star Wars universe. It means more, right? Um, and it just means more. And when you see those trailers and you're like, oh my, it's back. It's actually back. Where, as if, again, like you get this Mandalorian trailer and you're kind of like, I've been waiting for a theatrical release. I should be more excited to see this. Looks nice. It's just it doesn't mean the same thing. So like the Ben Solo stuff, I get it, man. I totally get it from the fans' perspective. And again, there's one person that can make it go away. Just one. And if you don't want to make it go away, it's not gonna go away. It's just gonna keep going. Like they could issue some kind of statement that project is canceled. We have no intention of bringing it back. That ain't gonna stop people from still being excited for it and still wanting to see it happen. Now that people know that there's a finished script, there's an amazing director attached to it, it's part of the saga. Um, People, they're not gonna let it go, man. And there's one man who can make it, you know, stop. And the only way he can make it stop is to say, yes, we've heard you. We're moving forward.
I'll just throw this in before Aaron wraps this up. If there's anything that geek culture, nerd culture, whatever you want to call it, learn, is that enough of them pushing can get something done, aka the Snyder Cut. Now we've had other campaigns, other efforts, whether it's make Solo 2 happen, save the Acolyte, stuff like that has worked or not worked. That's not the point. The point is, all you needed was one over one to work, and everybody thinks you can put enough pressure on a gigantic multinational global corporation in order to twist their arms to get the toy out of the Christmas box that you wanted all year long. That you didn't know you wanted, but now you know you could have had it. You want this. So I could see where a lot of people are going to still be pushing that Hunt for Ben Solo thing. I don't know that that's realistic given, where they're saying now. Again, never say never. I understand that. But I do find it interesting that, again, when we talk about these projects and these announcements and the stuff that gets announced and then falls by the wayside, stuff that gets promoted and then disappears, or we mentioned, hey, we hired so and so and they're going to be making a movie for us. And then it just goes into the ether and never returns. I maybe Disney and Lucasfilm are learning to kind of hold their powder, and if so, I wonder how comfortable they are with the fact that the last week the talk has been nothing but the hunt for Ben Solo, not you know Mandalorian and Grogu, not Ahsoka season 2, not Vision season 3. It's what we didn't get, not what we got. We're
So
getting.
we have to get to our majorly
Mhm.
uplifting, story here. But I guess as I hear this, I'm still thinking, when did we as fans become so entitled that the phrase "that's not what I wanted" has come into our normal mode of operations? It's like, did when Empire Strikes Back came out, I don't remember. That's not what I wanted. And when Return of the Jedi, that's not what I wanted. Or even through the prequels, all of a sudden it's like now it's just part of this. Oh, I don't want that. That's not what I wanted. We want this over here. And that's the thing that is kind of bothering me, is this entitlement of that I, as a fan, get to dictate what, and I'm being hyperbolic here, but I, as a fan, get to dictate what Star Wars gets made, you know? And so Bob Iger also has to be looking at, okay, so they got to have people running numbers. Like, are people going to show up to watch this movie? I mean, yeah, you might have a couple 100,000 people who are on Twitter, freaking out about it. But at the end of the day, will they go to the theater? And maybe that's the thing. It's like Mandalorian Grogu might tell us a lot. Will Star Wars fans show up? Starfighter, same thing. So it's like maybe it wasn't killed. Maybe it's like, let's see what these two things do here first
Mhm.
before we throw all of our lunch money into Star Wars. Because if Star Wars fans don't show up, then it's yeah. Anyway, so
Well, and I'll just throw this in. Just today, I believe they debuted the trailer for the new Avatar movie, which is another property that Disney is going to be pushing
they
heavily.
dropped a new
So
trailer for Avatar. Seriously?
yeah, I know, I
God,
know.
we got to
You're
stop
excited,
recording right now so I can go watch this on YouTube. I'm gonna lose sleep not seeing that. Sorry. Anyway,
but that's kind no, but that's kind of my point. Is that there is a fan base for this, but you're not it, so it doesn't matter to you. But now, are the fans that made Avatar 1 and 2 successful enough that James Cameron is going to make three more of these suckers at the tune of 200 million, $250 million just in special effects? Are they going to see a return on that investment? let's not forget, Disney has the biggest. Whenever you look at the highest list of biggest box office bombs of all time, the tops are all Disney because they just pour money into stuff that they were certain was going to make it and it didn't. So you're right. There is a sense of, will these fans pay for what they were getting for free, and well, free in air quotes, on Disney Plus? Will they turn up for the Mandalorian Grogu? Will they turn up for Starfighter? Will they? I mean, it's one thing to say turn up for Star Wars. It's another thing to say turn up for the next Star Wars and the next Star, because that's what they need. They need you. They need you and me and Dave and everybody who likes Star Wars to keep turning up in order for them to keep justifying throwing all that money at it. So we'll see. I mean, again, it's going to be an interesting kind of study.
There's two things that I immediately want to address, and I know that we're probably over time on this particular topic, especially since it wasn't a topic.
It's a good conversation, though.
I think like one of the things that I would say about worrying about the fans turning out for Ben Solo, I just see so much penetration in the non-super fan demographic right now. Like, you've got people writing articles, you know, for Variety and Rolling Stone and you know, opinion pieces that, you know, yeah, those people who are writing those articles are probably technically fans because they're plugged in and they're aware of what's going on. But at the same time, they're mainstream publications, and like, to me, that's a big flashing indicator light that this thing has a little more heft behind it than just Star Wars fans, just very online Star Wars fans. So like that right off the bat tells me a thing. And the other side of the coin of that is just, you're talking about this entitlement factor, which, yeah, okay. I agree. I think that's been there all along. It's just that Disney, when they purchased Star Wars, they didn't announce, we're going to make a Mandalorian and Grogu movie. They announced, we're making episode 7, right? I mean, like, that was what people wanted. They knew it. They hit on it, and they gave it to them. And I think what they're doing right now is they're trying to make projects for the theater that they think are viable, and they're dancing around the sequel trilogy, because they're not oblivious to, you know, the fan reaction to episode 9. I mean, nobody is. It made a ton of money, but like, it's kind of become a joke, right? In the same way that the prequels had become a joke, episode 9 in a lot of ways has become that kind of a joke for a lot of people. And so, like, again, I can understand the trepidation, but it's like, I don't think it's rocket science, man. That's what people want. That's what people have always wanted. They wanted the main story. Show me the main story. You can argue about that. We could bring up The Acolyte in this. We could bring up a lot of these other sorts of projects where it's like, well, we went for a different time or a different place. And it's like, I'm all for that personally, because I think there's enough room for them to do those kinds of stories. But like, if we're being honest, like, what, you know, grandma in, you know, rural North Dakota who like goes to 2 movies a year, she's not plugged into all this other stuff. But if she sees, like, you know, Star Wars episode 10 and it's got the, you know, people that she's seen before, oh, okay, you know, I get that. I think I remember seeing the other ones. Maybe I'll go see that now. And it's just way easier to wrap your arms around for a wider audience. Fans want it. I mean, like I said, it's not rocket science. Just like, give the people what they want, and this movie's ready to go, man.
Yeah, but I get, again, not to keep belaboring, but you made it sound like that was going to be Star Wars Episode 10.
I mean, it might have
What
been,
about Daisy Ridley's movie?
but maybe that was 11.
I mean, that, so I think we're, jumping to some assumptions there, but
I mean, who knows,
yeah.
right? But again, it's all very like,
but your point
all
is,
very tight in.
I agree with you that once we started deviating from the numbered, the saga, that's when it's like, that's when we got into the multiverse. It got confusing. So yeah, I think you're right. It's like, it's the minute we lost the crawl.
Yeah, and also like, again, this is the thing that I always go back to with all of this, right? It's the jumping around in time thing. It's just, don't do that. Don't do that. Just move forward. We don't got to go back into the past with all this other stuff that we've already seen, these eras that we know about. Just move the story forward, right? And people will, that's what Marvel does. Like, by and large, like one or two movies, might be in the past or might be out of order or whatever. But mostly it's like, okay, I saw the new Guardians movie, which told me about, the Infinity Stones, which told me about Thanos. And, oh, here's Thanos in another cameo. And, oh, look, what's going on with Thor. And now, oh, we're back. And it's an Avengers movie. Okay. And I'm all caught up because I've been watching the story unfold in real time. Like, I understand that. I can wrap my arms around that. Where it's like Star Wars, it's like, well, now we're going back in time and we're featuring characters that have nothing to do with anyone else. And then you guys will take that and you'll like it. And then we'll give you a series, but it's not going to be the series that you want. It'll be a spinoff of this other series. And then maybe we'll go back in time again then. And it's just, for the casuals, it's too much. It's too much. For the fans, they're in. Yeah, give it to me all. I want it all. I'll watch all of it. For the casuals, are just like, what's going on? I'm lost. This is why I see this all the time online, and it drives me nuts, which is like people who haven't seen Andor, and then they watch it, and they're like just now like watching it like now, right? And they're like, wow, this is really good. It's like, we've been screaming from the rooftops about this series for years now, and people are just now watching it. And it's because they're not as plugged in. They're just not going to watch everything. And yeah, that's to me. This is why this is a layup. What was the last movie? This is the last Star Wars movie that everybody saw, that everybody remembers, Episode 9. Okay. Just tell me the next story that comes along in the timeline after Episode 9. And you're not going to have to re-educate people. You're not going to have to like pry their eyes open, like Clockwork Orange style, and just say like, here, now you know to watch all these series to understand what's going to happen next on the big screen. No, everyone saw Episode 9. They can watch the Ben movie. They're in. They're already in. I'm sorry, man.
Everybody get off Dave's lawn.
Get Bob Iger on the phone now. I mean, seriously, right? This isn't that hard.
Well, I think we might have a topic for a later night. So for another night. Yeah, cool. Well, I'm showing restraint because I have some things I want to say, but I'm saving it.
Yeah,
so
there are more. There's more. There's so much more to say with this. It just.
I mean, I think to put it just a bow on it, to cut some people some slack. It's like Disney is danged if they do, danged if they don't. Because you talk about the fans who, it's a layup for them. You've also got that vocal group that was like, I'm tired of the Skywalker saga, type of a deal. But anyway, let's go on to happier news. Let's go on to the saddest moments in Star Wars. So,
My
um,
number one choice when Bob Iger said no to the Ben Solo movie.
I, I thought about throwing in some humorous ones, like somehow Palpatine returned. Another one would be no. I mean, so,
Oh,
um, but actually, I did go for more heartfelt ones. Um, but let's hear Fredo. Let's have you start things off tonight. You pick one, and then Dave and I can say if it was on our list, and we go, dang it. So
Okay, I'm going to mention a name that's going to sound weird, but you're going to know the moment I say which one, what moment I'm reference to.
and he froze.
It's interesting. A lot
That's
of these moments are just
perfect.
dead. He
you
died.
you need
Did
to
I? Did I freeze?
yeah
No,
right.
Rose, right when you're
no,
It
gonna
was
say it.
perfect. It was perfect.
no. Yeah, I just got the warning. Hey, your internet connection is not entirely stable. Uh, I need to plug into another computer. So I was just going to mention this. This is one of those moments that I'm sure the moment I'll mention, everybody goes, "Oh yeah, the death." And a lot of these are deaths. Nanta's death. That'll be the little Ewok who gets shot and killed in Return of the Jedi. That his little Ewok buddy reaches out to grab and is just like, you know, rocking him, and then he starts crying over. I don't care. I'm adult enough now to admit that that moment always makes you go, "Oh."
It does. It was the first one I wrote down. So yeah, this I gotta scratch that one off my list. That was like we took of all the stormtroopers that get shot in the original trilogy, and Ben Kenobi dying, and just all the other things. When that Ewok got killed, it was, yes, you're right. It's like watching Old Yeller. I mean,
I mean, somebody killed a teddy bear. Come on, how dare you?
and he just hung on it for like 30 seconds. It's like makes you live with it, you know. So, and he even has the other Ewok, like you said, show his grief and just, yeah. Anyway, Dave, you have anything to say on that one?
Death is a part of life, my friends.
Was it on your list?
No, I didn't have that one. Like it never really bothered me that much. Um, I don't know. That one in particular just never bothered me, but I understand why everyone else is like, oh.
All right. Well, I will jump in on the next one here, and it's Chewie's reaction to finding out that Leia died in The Rise of Skywalker. And they get back and they find out that Princess Leia died, and he is just falling to his knees and distraught. I mean, think about it. He lost his best friend Han. Is just, yeah. Just, the loss was too much. That was in Rise of Skywalker. That's probably one of the. That's a moment. So yeah, Chewie finding out that Leia died.
Yeah, because we underestimate. We tend to forget how long those two have known each other since the very beginning.
I got emotional in that movie when C-3PO had his mind wiped. Yeah.
That was on my list. Yeah.
Is this your first one, Dave?
No, I just didn't think there were any Rise of Skywalker items
No.
here.
That was for certain on my list because that's
Yeah.
I mean, now obviously they get to undo it later on in the movie, so it doesn't hold that punch. But the
Okay, I'm
moment
confused
Anthony
where we're at.
Daniels
I'm
plays,
confused where we're at in the list here. Are we up back to Fredo on
Let
his
Fredo
list?
go.
no,
Then?
no, no,
I
no, 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 no,
spoiled
no,
it
no,
for
no,
him.
no. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. It'd be an honorable mention. But go ahead, Dave. Give
Okay,
us your
but what
first.
did you want to say about it?
No, I was just gonna say it's just again it gets undercut by the undoing of it later on down the line. But
Yeah.
Anthony Daniels plays it really well. They hold into to make it into a big deal, and then they do it. So it's awesome and sad because again, this is your relation. 3P is the first character you heard talk in Star Wars, and now he's finally saying goodbye, and he's gonna hit you. So anyway, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, Yeah, it's real easy to go with deaths, right? Like that's usually what a lot of this list is going to be. I'm going to go with Kanan dying. That one wrecked me. Maybe more with one major exception um, from the movie, which from the movies, which we'll get to at some point. Other than that, this one was maybe the hardest one for me to watch, and it just seemed so final.
Well, and they really built that moment up to where,
Mhm.
I mean, everything was everything was really earned. I mean, because it was like they built up the connection. You always knew that he and Hera had a connection, but they built it up even more and got you to the point where it's like, you could tell that they were, meant to be in all this. And then, Ezra being connected to Kanan, and all of them had to watch him get blowed up. So that
Yeah.
was, yeah. I mean, it wasn't like they heard about it. It was, in front of their face. So that is a moment. Good one. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it's just so final. Like some of these other deaths, you're like, maybe they'll come back. Darth Maul came back. Um, the frickin' Emperor came back. But with him, it was just,
Somehow.
yeah.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
With him, it was so final, and you're just like, no, this is real. This is happening now, and like you said, because it had been set up, and it was telegraphed in retrospect, the way that story unfolded, and it just, yeah, it's a gut punch.
All right, Fredo.
Next one, and I am going to mention another death, and it's Tech. Because again, Tech taking out his gun and going, when have we ever followed orders? Which is crazy because again, these are characters you don't spend a lot of time with. You barely get, you get to know them through season one and season two, but you know that they're brothers, that they will fight for one another, that kind of thing. And then they get to that point of, okay, much like Kanan and the crew of the Ghost, their adventures have shown you that they can get out of anything. There's always a way out. And what Filoni loves to do is whenever he's going to have that big sacrifice, is put him in a situation where they really cannot get out unless somebody does sacrifice themselves.
See,
And that was the case here with Dak.
I don't think that one hit me hard because I figured it being, animated that, and we didn't see him get blown up like Kanan. It was just I figured they're gonna bring him back. That was kind of my cynical reaction. I think in the moment was, and then when he never, even into the next season, we were thinking, oh, this assassin is Tech. I mean, that was kind of the running story, and it never did. It never was like, all right, whatever. So yeah, I think just that, like Dave said, they brought back Darth Maul. It's like if you don't see a body, then they're probably bringing him back. So that's why it probably didn't hit me that hard. So not to take away from your pain, but
Well, it can be harder in that way, right? Where you don't even have a chance to mourn someone, and because you're not in full belief that this thing has occurred. But by the end of that series, yeah, it was a pretty emotional ending at the end there, where we got to see Omega kind of like go off and join the rebellion, and these grizzled old men have to like just sort of let her go, and you're aware of who's missing, yeah, and I think like that's when it really sort of settles in, and you're like, oh, yeah. Wish Tech could have seen this.
Well, the next one I'm going to throw out there, jump down through my list here, and it's going to be Grogu leaving with Luke. The end of season 2 of The Mandalorian. That whole interaction of him and Din, and then just it was well, I mean, it's that was just a powerful and very sad moment because you saw in Pedro Pascal's face how much he adored, Grogu and how hard that was. That was just really sad moment. So not much more to say about it, but it was really well done.
And again, it's one of those things where, like, kind of like we're discussing, because later on they do get together, you kind of go, well, but it holds its power. It holds that moment where he's having to make that ultimate sacrifice as a dad of going like, no, you're better off elsewhere than with me. And that's what he does. So it's really
They
well done.
they cheated the moment by bringing him back midway through Book of Boba Fett.
Mhm.
They cheated the moment. They should have made people sit and
Sweat
live
it
with
out.
it for part way through the third season of The Mandalorian.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was kind of cheated. And one that this isn't going to make my list tonight, but it would have been an honorable mention. I mean, similarly, in a similar manner, Anakin leaving home in Episode 1.
Mhm.
Um, I think anytime a kid is separated from their parent, that is, I mean, just our human nature shows that would be gut wrenching. Um,
Mhm.
but it almost felt like even more powerful in with Grogu and Din than it did with Anakin and Shmi. I don't know. Um, maybe because Anakin
Right.
was just all like, "I want to get off of here." So anyway, but yeah, Grogu leaving with Luke.
He got abducted too. A few episodes prior, and like that was
That was a possibility for my list as well. Yeah.
that was tough too. Yeah. Um, I guess where I'll go here, and this is where I cheat. Um, I'm going to say all of the Rogue One deaths, the entirety of Rogue One, basically. And if you put a gun to my head and you say you got to pick one, it's
I
K2SO.
was gonna say that would have been the one that made me go, oh, the most. Bodhi was a close second, but yeah, Kate. They made a Star Wars does a good job at making you care about a robot to the point
Mhm.
where when K2SO got but I think you're right,
This would be
especially with
mine. This would be mine. Share it. I'm one with the force. The force is with
Yeah.
me. I'm one with the force as well. I'm like, that moment was just gave me chills. And the thing is, you know what's gonna happen. That's the sad part of that whole third act.
the whole
You start
movie.
well, but no, but specifically when you go, they're doing this, and this is, once the first one falls, now you start going, okay, this is not gonna end well. And even though you start, kind of trying to talk yourself into recognizing it, it still it doesn't make it any easier.
Yeah, you can kind of fool yourself for the majority of that movie, and like maybe, and then K2SO dies, and
And you're
you're
like,
like, oh no, now they're all gonna die too, and his death was so meaningful,
because of
because
his connection to
him and Chirrut both like they sacrificed themselves, for the greater mission in that way.
mm,
Their two deaths in particular were just like, well, okay, that's meaningful. Bodhi's is terrible because it's sort of meaningless. He just catches a random grenade. Um, you're like, ah, war's violent though. So
so for my last one, I will mention because that was on my list, Dave. I just put Rogue One's ending. I just want, you can go and you can just start from minute, whatever till the end. It's interesting because I had some, we haven't mentioned any. No, I guess I'll go with this one. I'll mention Shmi's final meeting with Anakin. You mentioned her saying goodbye to Anakin, and I'm going to mention the moment when Anakin finds her before she dies in his arms, because they've been separated now for a decade. Uh, He's getting sensations with the force that she's in danger. He finally rushes out to find her, finds her. She gets to just see him grown up. And I mean, if there was a moment where you went, this is where the turn is being done from Anakin Skywalker, guy who kind of sort of walks the line, but he's a good guy all around, and Darth Vader, Dark Lord of Sith. It's that moment when she finally collapses in his arms and gives up the ghost. That's when that moment. So in so many ways, that just play on Jamin's death. It's the fact that they get to see one another, they get to talk to one another, they get to recognize one another, and then it just gets snatched away, and you know what that's going to bring. It's not just, oh, she's dead and we're sad for her. It's, we're dead, she's dead, we're sad for her. And McClunky, here comes the bad guy out of Anakin. And sure enough, he decides to go on a massacre.
Yeah, I think like when there's this foreshadowing effect, when you see something unfold on screen and you're like, oh no, I
Mhm.
know what this means. You know, this means worse things are about to occur. Like that's just gut wrenching. And yeah, that scene's absolutely, um, that would have been an alternate for me with like Anakin slaughtering those Tusken Raiders after losing his mother, um, and then him confessing it after the fact, and I just yeah, that's rough stuff, man.
All right. Well, I'm going to cheat a little bit too, Dave.
All right.
My last one.
Haters.
I'm gonna go back to Chewbacca, and it's gonna be Chewbacca in Empire Strikes Back, because you have the moment when they shut the blast doors on the Hoth base, and Chewie lets out that big howl because Han and Luke are not there. Mainly Han, and then he's, has his head up against the pole and is whimpering. That breaks my heart. And then on Bespin, when Han gets frozen in carbonite, and it's not Princess Leia's reaction, it's Chewbacca screaming that yeah, just grabs you by the heartstrings. So good on you, Peter Mayhew.
Yeah. I had that whole Han gets frozen in carbonite scene as one of my ultimates, just because, yeah, and you're right. Peter Mayhew's the one who, him and John Williams' music, they're the two things that carried all the emotion into that. Because
And
Leia
Carrie
is,
Fisher. And Carrie
well,
Fisher.
and Carrie Fisher, but Carrie Fisher said being told to act in a stunned, almost kind of like detached manner. She's, you know, uh, stepping out of her body because of how much grief she's feeling. All the grief, all the emotive grief is coming out of Peter Mayhew at that moment. He nails it.
Well,
There's
Ben
another
Burt,
moment
yeah.
in Empire Strikes Back, which I love from Peter Mayhew and Chewbacca, which is when he has the Hamlet moment with C-3PO,
Yeah.
and that's so solemn, and it's this tender moment, and it's sad because
That's a good one. Yeah.
his friend is mangled in his arms, and he's just sitting here fiddling with it and trying to figure it out, and it's just this really quiet, sad moment. Yeah, Chewbacca gets a lot of really good work in that movie, man. I mean, yeah, way to go, Pete. Gosh, now I gotta narrow this down to one thing. Oh man.
We'll let you have some
Um,
honorable mentions moments.
all right. Well, then to be different, because again, there's so much death, and we're always doing death. Um, I'm gonna go with Kino. I can't swim.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Yes. Yeah.
that's
And
a great
again, it's one
moment.
of those moments that just takes the wind out of you because you know what it means. They're surrounded by water. Like I'm very again. I saw somebody talk about this the other day. They're like, I'm really happy that they never told us what happened to him, because they don't really need to. Like the odds are very long, right? Like he's not making it, and that's kind of the point of that line of dialogue. But at the same time, it's like, okay, give me the hope of the 0.05% chance that maybe he somehow survived. Okay, all right, yes, I'll take that. Please don't tell me that he died. But man, you know, you know what that means. And beating the odds, breaking out of that facility, he has his like spiritual awakening, like now he gets it. He understands. He finally sees the light and he fights his way to freedom. And I can't swim. It's brutal, man.
That one's rough. The other thing is you don't even get the moment to go, okay, maybe we can talk about it. Like Cassian can't just reach out and kind of convince him to jump and hope. He just gets carried away by the tide of people just throwing themselves, and Eno's just left
Right.
standing there.
Yeah.
So you don't even get that moment to go, okay, he tried saving his friend. Nope, gone. Did you want to mention any honorable mentions? I did have one.
Yeah.
I can go through a couple as well. So yeah, go ahead,
Okay,
Fredo.
so I'll mention my one honorable mention, and not death, but post. And I'll mention Ahsoka burying all the clones
Ooh,
at the end of
that's a good one.
the Clone Wars, because
Mm.
it's. I mean, remember throughout the series, the whole path or the whole journey of Ahsoka was seeing, recognizing, valuing the humanity in the clones, and they recognize that in her. So the fact that this is the last act that she gets to do for them is giving them a proper burial, making sure that they're marked there, where the final spot resting place is marked, even if it's just by their helmets that they painted with her markings on them to remember her. That's just, it's such a beautiful little moment. Again, it plays in silence. There's no great music. There's no great moment of dialogue. It's just well designed, well animated, and you just know that the entire series has built up to this moment, and it just kind of breathing away at that point. Just go, he has to let them go, and that's what she does. But it's always sad because again, at that moment, everything gets condensed to this, and then she's got to leave him behind.
So actually, I just have one, and that's I'm sorry, it's death again, but it's actually Dak getting killed,
Mm.
and it's because if it would have just been, Luke's gunner, that would. But the fact that they set it up with, he's feeling like $1,000,000 and can take on the Empire himself, and he was, full of spit and vinegar, and then all of a sudden just get taken out. And then the fact that Luke just has to leave him in the speeder to get further smushed by it's just like you said, war is hell. But yeah, that was one that's always kind of tugged at me. So
Yeah, the fact that he had to leave him behind, that really affected me when I was a kid. Seeing that, like, it's just like, oh my god, he just left him there. It's like, what are you gonna do? Like, obviously he has no choice, but it's just, it's tough. So I gotta mention Order 66.
which
I don't know
one?
how he didn't.
Which version?
All of them.
Yeah, all of it, right? All of it. Yeah, and again, that's kind of like Rogue One. Take your pick of a particular sequence or a scene or a version, like you said, because we get that revisited in the Clone Wars, and that's really tough too, watching all of that unfold from Ahsoka's perspective. But
Guys ever see Order 66, the little cutscene or level in Jedi Fallen Order, how that plays? I'm gonna have to find the YouTube clip and send it to you because they do a good job of humanizing them, much in the same way that the start of Bad Batch did with Kanan and
Mhm.
Depa Balaba. Plays much the same way. Again, it's tragic and it's sad, but again, like I said, Dave, you could pick eeny, meeny, miny, tragedy, 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 all around.
I like the other mentions I would have here are two moments involving our favorite topic of the moment, Ben Solo. Ben, Kylo Ren killing Han Solo, which is just, you don't have a lot of time to sort of like wrestle with that before Chewie cuts him down with the bowcaster, which is like perfect. Still one of my favorite moments, but gosh, that's just so dark and crazy and sad that he would do that. And then him doing, like, turning to the dark again in the second movie in episode 8, after they skewer Snoke, he has the option to come with Rey, and she extends her hand to him, and he doesn't take it, and instead he says, "Oh, come with me, we'll rule the galaxy." And it's like, oh, dude, you blew it again. It's like twice there, you know, like so I was sad in both moments. Again, not that I ever needed this guy to redeem himself, but it's just knowing his lineage and who he is and who he represents to so many people, and just him continually going the opposite direction is just sad, man.
Do you think Chewie winged him on purpose?
Let him live.
Oh, yeah, I mean, because it'd be the equivalent of, I mean, you shooting your nephew after, you know, it's just,
it's possible.
yeah. I've always wondered that, because I'm sure Chewbacca is a much better shot than that.
Yeah, it's like if I saw my nephew do something like blatantly awful, I'm probably not putting him down, but I might try to knock his ass out.
Yeah.
Pardon my French.
Oh, you got a McClunky yourself now. I even said danged if you do, danged if you don't earlier to save you some editing, but there we go.
And we've seen in that movie the power of the bowcaster. So we know if it hits something, it can sometimes blow things up and whatnot. So the fact that it just wings Kylo Ren makes you wonder, okay, how much did you put into that, Chewie? Even in your grief and your rage.
Well, all right. Now we all have to go to therapy. So, guess if you're listening to us out there, let us know what your saddest moments of Star Wars is. Like I said, I had my humorous ones of, Jedi Rocks would be another sad moment. How about, but yeah, let us know what your saddest moments in Star Wars is. And until then, we will say who dat.
Who dat?
And everybody have a fantastic week.
McClunky.